Greetings, brothers, from the fraternity of Phi Gamma Delta. I'm Brian Zugelder, Executive Director of Undergraduate Affairs and Partnerships at the University of Central Florida in the College of Education and Human Performance. I'm also your faculty advisor for Omega Phi, and I'm a member of Omega Phi Lambda Pledge Class. Today I'm going to speak with you about university policies on student organizations and the consequences that actions of one individual could have on the entire organization. This is actually in response to an action that was taken by an individual of the organization recently, and how the fraternity was imposed sanctions as a result of the action of one member. So UCF policy UCF-5.011, paragraph 4A states that any student organization can be held responsible for its actions of one or more of its members, whether they're active or inactive. The conduct of a single member may provide sufficient grounds for action against the entire organization. We actually saw this play out when one member committed a violation of university policy, and the entire organization was put in jeopardy based on this one person's actions. So all of these policies can be found in the Golden Rule Student Handbook, which is published on the SDES website. You could even Google UCF Golden Rule Student Handbook to find all of these policies clearly outlined. As a student organization, as a fraternity, Omega Phi is part of the UCF Organizational Rules of Conduct. Policy UCF-5.012 states that student organizations are expected to abide by the organizational rules of conduct at all times, whether they're on campus or off campus. You can see a list of these rules of conduct as they are related to organizations, and you can also see them in the Golden Rule Student Handbook and also UCF policies. You can see that there are 5 listed here. I will go over some of these after I show you all of the organizational rules of conduct. You can see here are more organizational rules of conduct that the fraternity could be held in violation if one member or several members engages in violations of such rules. And then here are the final pieces of the rules of conduct. I want to talk a little bit about how the gentlemen of Phi Gamma Delta may engage in actions that result in the entire organization suffering consequences. I know that sometimes fraternities like to steal things as tokens of memorabilia, such as stealing a road sign or stealing something that belongs to another organization and proudly displaying it in the house. I can tell you that theft or disregard for property is a clear violation of the rules of conduct and can lead to the fraternity having sanctions imposed against it. Disruptive conduct is another area where I see that fraternities can get themselves into dilemmas. That's interference with orderly conduct of the university, any functions that occur, student organizations that may host other functions that are not even associated with the fraternity. However, fraternity members may be a part of such organizations by participating, volunteering, or even attending. Also, failure to comply with the Omega Phi's bylaws can result in disruptive conduct and therefore have actions against the individual and the organization. Harmful behavior, sometimes we like to get a little rowdy. Physical behavior, harassment, bullying, any verbal or written abuse, all can result in actions taken against the entire organization. Sexual misconduct, that includes sexual harassment. It includes non-consensual relations. It also includes relations with minors. Be aware that the action of one individual and any member knowing about such actions can also result in violations of university policy and therefore result in actions taken against the organization. Alcohol-related misconduct, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. That's any behavior that might be influenced by alcohol, as well as the organization failing to ensure that everyone who is attending an event or an event that the organization is hosting must ensure legal drinking age. Any drug-related misconduct like possession, consumption, selling, distributing any drugs is also a violation of university policy and a violation of law. Another thing that I want to point out, the last two bullets, hazing. When one member reports an incident of hazing and they can prove that it caused physical or mental stress, the organization as a whole can be put in jeopardy as a result of this. You have seen that fraternities on campus have been dismissed from campus because of hazing. Also, academic misconduct like reproduction of materials, tests, exams, having a file cabinet that has copies of past exams with answers so that members can cheat on exams, can result in the entire organization having sanctions imposed upon it. I talked to you about sanctions, and I do want you to be aware that there are several layers of sanctions. Depending upon the violation of student conduct and university policy, one sanction does not have to occur before another sanction occurs. So, for example, the organization could simply be put on probation, or the organization could be suspended and put on probation duration, which means that the organization might be suspended for a couple semesters and the remaining semesters for a certain period of time, the organization could be suspended. The same thing goes for individuals. Expulsion, obviously, is the worst. Removal of the organization, where a fraternity gets kicked off of campus, would be the worst case scenario. The sanctions are determined by the processes in place from the Office of Student Conduct. You can either go through an administrative hearing or a panel hearing. In the incident that occurred in the spring where one member committed a violation of university policy, the organization chose to participate in an administrative hearing. The administrative hearing resulted in sanctions. The sanction that the fraternity received was probation. Probation means that if any further violations occur by the organization while the organization is on probation, then it will result in a higher level of sanction. It could result in suspension, expulsion, or removal of the organization. Educational sanctions are also imposed on the chapter if the organization is found in violations, such as the reason why I'm giving you this seminar. That was one of the educational sanctions that was imposed on the chapter for the violation of one member's behavior, resulting in the consequences for the entire chapter. So please just be aware that your behavior, whether it's your individual behavior, whether you're with just your girlfriend or some friends that aren't even associated with the fraternity, because you are a member of the fraternity, your actions could result in the entire organization receiving sanctions or consequences. So just be aware of everything that you're doing. Use good judgment, use common sense, and continue to uphold the values of our fraternity and continue to behave like gentlemen. If you have any questions, you may contact me anytime. My email address is Bryan, B-R-Y-A-N, .zugelder, Z-U-G-E-L-D-E-R, at ucf.edu. And your president also has my contact information. Thanks for listening, guys, and I hope to see you out of trouble, and hope to see you in good scenarios. Take care.